Hey guys, welcome back to Golden Papery. And we are going to be showing you guys the budget by paycheck from the Budget Mom. Now, I am doing my first paycheck of the month, so this is last week's closeout, but I decided that I'm not going to be doing weekly videos on the budget by paycheck just because I feel like I don't have that much going on for the rest of the weeks aside from the first and third paycheck. So, more than likely, you're going to be seeing either two videos for weekly closeouts, and that's a paycheck closeout, and then the final monthly closeout at the end of the month. So, what I want to show you guys is the paychecks that I have coming for January. So, number one, I did have a paycheck for the beginning of the month. And as I mentioned in my December closeout video, my beginning of the month is actually the last paycheck of the past month. And that's because it pays for my first expenses of the current month before I get another paycheck. Again, that first paycheck that I get also makes me, or I also pay myself for the cash envelopes that I use and the sinking funds that I'm saving for. So let's go ahead and get into the first week. Let me go ahead and do this so you guys can see this better. And actually, let me just kind of close this out like this. Okay. For January, I did have two paychecks that came in, and that is the 3,272.72 paycheck and then a 675.33. So that means that I brought in 3,948 with 5 cents. So roughly around $3,948. Now, what I do with that, my budget was already set up here. So I had my budget, and let me zoom in a little bit here. But what I had was the budget for the first week of, or the last week of December. So my 12/20, this is when I got paid on 12/29, and it pays for all of my first expenses last week. So I did have a couple of applications. I had a Patreon subscription, my Citi credit card. And one thing that I'll show you guys also is that the Citi credit card is not something that I'm trying to pay off automatically because this is a revolving credit card. And a lot of people use that when you have kind of like expenses that come out of the blue. An example, one that I can show you guys is we just purchased a food saver, which was like around $200. And I decided to put that on the Citi credit card because I did not have that money saved up in my cash envelopes. Now, that's not really a problem because that credit card basically gets paid every single month, and it's just kind of accumulating all of those points. And then it's also good to get a credit card that gives you some what's it called, like benefits to it. So this Citi credit card is actually like an American Airlines Advantage credit card. So I have a whole bunch of flights points on my card. So if I wanted to purchase a flight or even different things through the card, I can just use those points. So there's a benefit to that. Anyway, we have Apple Storage, Netflix, and HBO that I pay from 12/29 up until 1, let's see, 1/4 that I got my next paycheck. So we do have groceries and animals. I do have these variable expenses. Now, in her previous worksheet, this actually said cash envelopes, and then this said sinking funds. I don't have that here. I'm still adding my variable expenses as, the cash envelopes. So even though like my electric bill is a variable expense, you're not going to see that down here. So just wanted to point that out. But I usually do a $300 budget and a $200 budget for these two, but I knew that I was not going to have enough left over after I did my whole sinking funds first. So that was okay. I'll just save my groceries and animals budget for the next paycheck because it was going to be on the 4th anyway. So I did have that here. Christmas, I was able to give myself $167. For the car, we had $75, $76. And then medical, $167. And then beauty, $200. My clothes were $83. Holidays, $67. My toddler gets $30, and my husband gets $400 for about personal items and then also his gas. So all in all, we had around $1,200 worth of sinking funds that we were able to put towards. So after we did that, I had $13.98 left over from the main expenses that I had here. And then after I did the sinking funds, actually, I did not even fill this out. Let's go ahead and do that together. So, let's see. 1398.07. And then the total here was 1199.59. That's probably why I put it right here. But 198.48. I had this left over. I did have an expense for Etsy for $1. And then I spent the rest of that money putting it into my saving challenges. So let me bring this up here. So I have a $5 challenge. I put $5. $5,000 challenge. I put $20. And my 52-week challenge, I put $14. Now I do have a $15,000 challenge, but I did not have enough money, and I still wanted to leave a little cushion in the bank account. So we had around $158 left over for after the 12/29 paycheck. So not too bad. The $15,000 challenge I'm going to do in in 2 weeks. That paycheck. But this was the teller slip that I used to go and take out the cash. What I did was transfer all of that sinking funds total to my TDCU bank. So I bank with Chase, but we live in the middle of nowhere and there's no Chase Bank here. So we opened up a bank account locally. So I transferred this money to my local bank and I was able to get that cash out. And then obviously this is my teller slip, so I was able to get all the denominations and the quantities for each one. So that was that. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do is also add in, and let me zoom out a little bit, but also add in the expenses. Like I still have not done that. So let me see. Here we go. These are the expense trackers. I still have not done this, but I know I told you guys that I typically look at all of my expenses at the end of the year. The whole point of the Budget Mom is that you should be tracking this on a weekly basis. So I'm actually going to be doing that today and adding in all the expenses from from 12/29 up until January 8th. So this was the first paycheck of January. Well, December/January, but you guys know what I mean. Okay, guys, so since we're also here, we're going to do our cash stuffing for the paycheck of 12/29. Now, I did already get all the cash from the bank, and as I mentioned, this is all the cash that I transfer from my main bank with Chase that I transferred to the local bank here, which is TDCU. Now I'm going to start off from the very beginning, and this is our Christmas envelope. I'm going to put in $166. Now I do transfer 166.67 to the bank, but I don't actually take out the cents. So I'm going to let the cents accumulate, and then whatever is able to stay there for the year, I'm going to just transfer it over to the savings account. And I'm using these envelopes by the Budget Mom. It is the boho envelopes, and I'll make sure to link them in the description. But they are absolutely beautiful. The quality is really good. It's not flimsy, and it's something that you can definitely put in cash, and it's not going to be like super thin, where if you do have a lot of money saved into it, it's going to be very thick and not going to fit. But then she also has these expense trackers that you can put in your envelopes. And so I have been using that since I started this, which is back in November, because I was already trying to get my feet wet into the cash stuffing. And it's been a really great way for us as a family to review, what we're spending our money on. So 166 goes for Christmas. And then I'm going to get the medical envelope now, which is also going to be 166. Now, if you see my cash envelope breakdown, there is a category that says car. I do have a car cash envelope, but in this case, I need to do a debit transaction for some of the vehicle registrations that I still have to do. So in that case, the 200, let me see here, is going to stay in the bank. So right now I'm doing medical, and that's going to be 166. And then you can see here that I am summing up everything that I have in this envelope. Now, is this a perfect system? Sometimes no, and I'll give you an example. I have a cash envelope set for beauty, but I had forgotten that one of the places that I go for a beauty expense only takes debit transactions. So I have to keep in mind that I'm gonna need to keep in the amount that I'm going to spend for beauty that specific week in the bank to make that transaction. So it's a little bit frustrating, but I will say that it has been really good in us managing whether we can visibly see if we have the available cash or not. And that was another thing that I mentioned to you all in this video as well, that I do have a medical cash envelope, but I just started filling up this envelope, so I don't have the amount that I needed for the deductible that I had for my medical procedure. But I was able to put it on a credit card that was available because I knew I was going to be paying that money back on my January 4th paycheck. It takes a lot of discipline to be able to tell yourself that you are going to pay all that money back. Again, things can come up on a weekly basis, so it's good to remind yourself that, you do plan for these things. So clothes is going to get $83. So it's just so easy with this money tray that I purchased from Amazon, the denominations that I have, to be able to put it into my cash envelope. And I feel pretty happy that we've been able to accumulate funds and it has not gone to empty, except the groceries and animals cash envelopes. And you guys know that is the reason why I put those as kind of like variable expenses envelopes, where I'm going to be taking out money. on a daily basis or weekly basis. Typically, yes, they will have no money by the end of the next week that you have to refill those cash envelopes. So the holidays cash envelope is going to get $66. And this envelope is specifically for birthdays, maybe teacher appreciation gifts, little small donations that happen throughout the whole year. Now, I did notice that I am kind of overspending slash using money from the groceries to purchase things for like Valentine's Day when I really should be using the holidays cash envelope. But again, that is something that I'm still trying to work with my system. One of the struggles that I have is that I do not keep my cash envelopes in my bag because it just doesn't make for me to be using or taking with me all of those cash envelopes. But in this situation, I probably should have a binder where I can just hole punch the cash envelopes and put them in my binder. But this was the cash stuffing. And then because we're here and I know that we have already, you know, we're still working on this week's up until our next paycheck, but I did want to show you guys also the paycheck budget tracker for my 1/4 paycheck. So in this one, you guys can see that I don't have that many expenses for this paycheck, right? I just have a subscription. I do have a Chase credit card that's going to get paid because we have purchased a video game on this one and I totally forgot about it, but we're going to get this paid off. And then I did do a tithes for the income of this paycheck. So what I had as income for this paycheck was 2604.33. So around $2,600, not too bad. And then we're going to go ahead and continue doing the budget once that continues to come off. So you guys can see here that some of these bills have still not come out. So this is still a paycheck tracker in progress. But I did want to show you guys what that looks like. And you will see here that for my groceries and my animals, I was able to get that money out like I planned. And now I have those in my cash envelopes. And then I still have some car registrations and inspections that needed to get done. So I also transferred that money to my local account so that we could get that paid. And it's just better to process those expenses in a different bank because then it won't mess with my main account that I'm tracking for my expense tracker. And then you will see here that I was able to pay off $1,100 to my TDECU credit card. So the whole point and priority of 2024 is to pay off the TDECU credit card. I planned to pay this off this month, but because we had unexpected bills, my medical procedure, I did have to use my Apple credit card because my medical envelope did not have the $500, and I didn't want to pull out of my savings. So I figured let's go ahead and use the credit card, and I'll pay it off in the next paycheck, which is the plan. So we'll get that paid off this week as well. Point is, there are things that are going to come up that are unexpected, right? And the whole purpose of the budget mom is that you are saving and that you are planning ahead of time. If I had started a medical envelope a year prior, I could have just easily pulled from that envelope and just paid it with that. But this is the reason why it's also good to still have a credit card that you're able to use for emergencies, but having a plan to be able to pay those off. So, and this one is actually not my credit card. This is my husband's credit card. So, you know, there are certain things that we still keep separately, but we still take it into consideration when we're doing our expenses. So this is the first 2 weeks. The new paycheck won't start until the 11th. I'm gonna pull this here. But you'll see here that this is a 1/4 paycheck. Oh, the 12th. And then the next one will be the 12th paycheck. So yeah, this was the budget for the first week of, or the first expenses of January. If you guys have any other ideas or comments, feel free to let me know. And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Bye.